Hey, it's Chris. Today we're going to address one of the Achilles heels of the 701, which is the clutch slave. There's been a lot of reports online about the seal failing, and so you lose the ability to pull in the clutch and disengage the motor, which is obviously a problem. I'm going to swap that out. One of the common replacements for it is the Oberon, so I'm going to do that. I'll walk you through it. Fingers crossed, hopefully it'll go well. If it doesn't, then hopefully you will learn from my mistakes. And if it does go well, then this should be a pretty good guide for how to get it done. I'm gonna also replace the sprocket cover with a nice anodized aluminum one. I'll show you which one I chose. I went a little inexpensive, but I think it's gonna work out pretty nicely. Glad you're along for the ride, and as always, hit like if this is at all helpful for you. So let's dig in on it. Okay, so this is the Oberon clutch slave unit. This is the model CLU 1000. This one has the bleeder screw installed. Don't use the one that's on the stock unit. They're not the same size. Actually, let's start by taking off the heat shield off the exhaust. And that's going to be our 25 Torx, right? Yep, 25. Yep, that's a 27 on the back. All right, a little better visibility. Fastener at the front is an 8mm. And that actually goes right straight through to the clutch slave. And then the top one is a 10mm. Okay, both of these are 8mm Hex Head. Before I break that loose, I'm gonna get some paper towel to catch the drippings. Before I loosen both of these all the way, I want to loosen that nut at the top. So I'm gonna use my 11mm wrench. Just loosen that up. Yep, so that's good and loose. That'll make it easier when it's off the bike. So this bike is brand new, hasn't been run more than just a couple miles. And so this seal looks okay. No idea whether this would have been a problem or not. So I'll swing that out of the way, and then we'll check the surface. And in this case, the surface should be clean. So we can go ahead and grab the new unit. I'll take the gasket out of this kit. Not gonna need those washers. All right, put the gasket just centered on there. goes on a little snug. Okay, before I start to connect this again, I'm gonna put just a little bit of brake fluid, .4 brake fluid. Should make the bleeding go a little quicker if it's not totally dry inside the unit. Just do that. I want to put a little oil on the rubber so it doesn't grip as it's getting seated. Okay, so we have fluid in it. The gasket is on. We're going to connect it to the clutch line. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to attach the one-way valve, and you can see that it's, if I show that to you a little closer, in order to help us line up the gasket, make sure the gasket doesn't spin. I'm going to get the bolt, put that in there. All right, feels like that's in the right spot now. Just need to make sure this wire is not in the way, which it's not. Okay, so we'll tighten the top where the clutch line comes in. That's good. And I've just rigged up a container from tennis balls. And I'm going to, I just cut a little slice in the top. So the hose will fit in there like that. And then I'm going to take my outlet, connect that up, and then I'll take an 8mm wrench, snug it down, because right now it seems like from the factory that bleeder valve comes quite loose. There it is. Now it's snug. Cap off the reservoir. And that's a T20 Torx head for those screws. Oops. That's why the paper towel's there, because this stuff is pretty nasty. Takes paint off pretty easily. So I'm just going to add fluid as I pump that to get the bubbles out. So I'm pumping that brake, clutch lever, I should say, and I'm just loosening it off just for a second, just a tiny bit. And a couple times I felt a little bit of gurgle come through bleeder valve, and now I'm feeling nothing, so I think it's done. It appears to be functioning perfectly, actually. As expected, it's very full. Sorry about the lighting, it's a little tricky. It's actually good that it's seeping out, because that's as full as we possibly can make it. All right, now we can take off the bleeder tube. So now I'm going to assemble the aftermarket sprocket cover. There's that. NiceCNC makes this. The new bolts will just thread right in there. And these are all Allen heads. And these two bolts are 4mm Allen heads. This one. All right, that looks very good. A lot less chance of building up mud in there. That's all set. We can put the exhaust heat shield back in place. Finesse our way back behind the plastic. So those two little rubber tabs just slide in. There's a groove for those behind there for the plastic. And then that screw again is a 27 Torx head. And then we're a 25 here against the actual header pipe. Tight, not too tight. So that's it. So that's it for this install. The Oberon clutch slave, and we've added the NiceCNC sprocket cover to protect against damage if the chain were ever to break loose. And it looks really good. And so I'll put the link in so that you can find that item. I'm sure that Oberon will be bulletproof, so I feel a lot better about heading out on a long trip and knowing I'm not going to get stranded based on the OEM failures that have been widely reported. So by way of wrap up, I'd say if you found it at all helpful, please hit that like button. And if you'd like to follow along with all the other things that I'm doing to this Husky 701, subscribe, and there should be new content every week. So glad you stopped by. See you again next time. Bye for now.